G'day everyone, Eric here. We are now into the second month of the new year, and you know what that means? New Transformers. Well, if you're like me, it means lots of new toys. But let's stick to Transformers for today. While 2025 brings us Age of the Primes and many other new Transformer toys throughout the year, we do also have 41 years of Transformers toys to collect and cherish. Some old toys are still definitely worth a pickup for the collection, or just to experience them for the first time. Here are 10 Transformers I want to pick up in 2025. Before we start, I want to bring up one honorary mention. Studio Series 1 Megatron. While I have mixed feelings on Transformers 1, I did enjoy the film, and I quite like the Studio Series Optimus Prime toy, enough to want a full cast. Unfortunately, Megatron was barely released here, with very few entering fan channel stores. Not every toy hits mass retail now, so Big W and Target may just skip this one. If they do, I'm probably going to skip one in its entirety and even consider selling the Optimus Prime, since I don't think it really stands by itself, either all in or not at all. With that said, let's begin. Have I ever talked about how much I enjoyed Transformers Armada before on this channel? As a toy line, it's one of my favourites. I just adore the designs and play pattern. There are so many fun toys from Armada, and one of my favourites was Hot Shot. He's a cool yellow sports car. The Axel Zuka is a fun action feature, and the interaction with Jolts in vehicle mode essentially gives Hot Shot a powered up car mode with a propeller. I had so much fun with that toy and still really like him. Not a popular take, but I really appreciate the toy. That's why my number 10 choice is Hot Rod Super Mode. While Hot Shot was intended to be a Bumblebee update at some point in development, according to the series Bible, trademarks likely getting in the way, the design has a huge amount of Hot Rod influences, and Takara just went with it, as the character's name is Hot Rod in Japan. Then you have the Redeco, what Hasbro calls Power Links Hot Shots. That's literally just an alternative take on Hot Rod cross Bumblebee. Where the first toy is Bumblebee with Hot Rod aspects to the car mode, the Redeco is more of a Hot Rod toy with Bumblebee's curvature, something of a foreshadowing to Galaxy Force Excellion. Side note, one of my favourite Transformers toys of all time. But why do I want to track down Takara's Hot Rod Super Mode over Hasbro's Power Links Hot Shot? Hot Shot has a deco mistake on the head, and Hot Rod has an additional electronic action feature, the same one found on G2 Laser Prime. I want to check out that action feature. Might need a Japanese Star Saber too. This one is only number 10 though, as it's a redeco of a toy I already have, and I recently bought the Evolution version to check out the new Hot Shot toy. For Hot Rod, I would need to get a good deal. For number 9, we continue with the theme for this list. Toys I missed out on for whatever reason. In this case, I am interested in the new version of this toy coming out in Age of the Primes. Or should I say, toys, since I'm cheating a bit with number 8, as it's 5 separate releases. I'm of course talking about Studio Series 86 Devastator. I don't recall ever seeing Combiner Wars Devastator at the time, and by all accounts, it's not the best toy. Budget constraints caused some compromises in the design that Takara would later rectify with the Unite Warriors release. I'd planned to buy a downsized knockoff for quite some time, but never got around to it. Now I don't have to. I have one major concern with Studio Series 86 Devastator though, the paint apps. From what we've seen, Devastator is cartoon accurate, and as a consequence of that, comes off as bland. A sea of green with some purple components, no detail. True to the cartoon, but the original toy had some stickers to break up all the solid colours, and I think the toy needs it badly. Depending on how Devastator turns out, I might just wait for a toy accurate redeco down the track. Number 8 is one of 4 molds I'm missing from Energon, but this one interests me the most as to my knowledge, it is the first G.I. Joe crossover, Snowcat. For whatever reason, I just never got around to picking up Snowcat back in the day. Now that I think about it, I only got around to Demolisher at the 11th hour too. I really liked Energon, but I was a bit financially burned out between Armada and Cybertron. Snowcat is a fun little toy. It's not a dead ringer for the G.I. Joe vehicle, but takes on aspects of Snowjob with the skis for both the vehicle and robot mode. The head amuses me too. It gives vibes of Stinkor from 2002 He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, with a vaguely cat shape and breathing apparatus. That definitely works for me more now than it would have at the time, as I've really grown to love the Masters of the Universe. Snowcat is a visually appealing toy, very much a toy, but it's a fun design. I think as I got older, a lot of my sensibilities changed, and Snowcat just does it for me. Of all the Energon toys I still want for my collection, he's at the top for a reason. Number 7 is an upcoming toy from Age of the Primes, and one of the eponymous Primes, Megatronus the Fallen. The Fallen isn't a character I've particular fondness for. If anything, I prefer the Quintesson backstory for Transformers over Primus and the 13 Primes, but a cool design is a cool design. I have the Titanium toy. It's fine for what it is, one of the better Titanium toys for whatever that amounts to, but not something I've ever really thought about again. The Fallen from Age of the Primes, on the other hand, really speaks to my teen years in the early 2000s. A flaming tank from a horror movie that turns into a robot with a furnace for a face. It's Edge incarnate. Sign me up. I also think it's the best tank Megatron we've ever had. Yeah, he's not Megatron, but the general body shape is more in line with Megatron than most Megatron toys. And he manages to pull off the fusion cannon, back barrel, and tank mode really well. All the echoes from Megatron are in the right places for the Fallen. While many dreaded this becoming Studio Series 86 Megatron, I'd still like to see the engineering used for a Megatron. Megatronus the Fallen looks like a great toy, and I can't wait for it. For number 6, we have the final new toy on this list, but it relates to the theme of toys I've missed out on for whatever reason. G2 Grimlock. I remember when I was little, about 5, I was in a store with my mum and they had the G2 Dinobots. Couldn't get them that day, but they always stuck with me as really cool, burned into my brain. Probably because I really liked dinosaurs as a child too. But because of that, I'm really partial to the G2 colours over G1. That's how I remember the Dinobots. And I really do like the bright colours of G2 in general, if I'm going to be honest. I'm not one to replace my old toys willy-nilly. If I like a new toy, and I have the older one, there has to be a reason to buy the new one beyond new toy. And frankly, I like Power of the Primes Volcanicus. Another unpopular take on this list, but I really enjoy those Dinobots, and because of that, I've been waiting literal years for G2 redecos of the leader class Dinobots. Sitting here, biding my time for 4 years now, and I'm thrilled the waiting game has finally borne fruit. Plus they use the G2 insignia, and that just does it for me. Love G2, simple as. I literally just had the chance to buy number 5 on a local sales group, but things got in the way. This being Power of the Primes Abominus. Again, I'm cheating, another Combiner set. I know a lot of people are really down on Combiner Wars and Power of the Primes, but I enjoyed both of them. I'm partial to the Scramble City toys, and not obsessive about cartoon accuracy, so Combiner Wars and Power of the Primes suits my tastes really well. They were a pretty good modernization of the original toys, and I'm way more of a toy-first kind of guy. Unfortunately, the distribution for Power of the Primes was abysmal, and I was never sure if I could get an entire set of Terracons. I saw Hunger regularly, but the limbs maybe once or twice, and at the time, Hunger was missing from the shelves. Then when they were gone, oh hey, Hunger's back and in big numbers! So annoying! I prioritised getting a set of Dinobots at the time, having to import 2 of them, which turned up on the local shelves a year later. I also need a Unite Wars Computercon and the C-Cons for the Scramble City sets. But I'll be real, likely never going to happen. Bit too pricey. Not unless Hasbro remakes them and people are offloading the Unite Warriors Computercon and CCon sets. Car Robots, aka Robots in Disguise 2001, is interesting for me looking back at it. I didn't really buy much of it at the time, but cherished what I bought. Optimus Prime, Ultra Magnus, the Autobot cars, and Sideburn for a second time because my Hot Rod redeco. Can't pass up a Hot Rod redeco, and I actually liked Sideburn's toy, still do. But this left me missing out on a lot of the line. I have experienced some via Beast Wars and have handled others extensively, but the ones that stick out are the Gigatron toys, what we call Megatron and Galvatron. Sixshot nearly made this list, and I'd still like to pick him up someday, but Gigatron is a more interesting toy. It has up to 11 modes, depending on the release. 6 for the base Japanese Gigatron, 10 for both the Hasbro toys and Devil Gigatron, then an 11th retroactively given to Devil Gigatron by its designer, Takashiri Kunihiro. It just has a ton of play value and looks pretty appealing in all modes. It has all the benefits of being a toy from 2000, with more durable plastic, paint apps, and the design style. As for the specific release, I kind of like the Devil Gigatron, aka Galvatron, a little more, but I wouldn't be opposed to a Hasbro Megatron. Just not the Japanese base Gigatron. It can't become an elephant, and we all know Devil Elephant is the best mode. Number 3 is a toy I really wish I got when it was current. I only have a few Beast Wars Transmetals too. Thankfully I got Black Arachnia at the time, but this one I really wish I'd gotten, since finding one complete and in good condition is not the easiest thing to do. It's Transmetal 2 Cheetor. I feel like I'm defending a few choices on this list, and Transmetal 2 Cheetor is no exception. I'll be the first to acknowledge it's a brain-dead simple toy, even by it just stands up Beast standards. But I really like the look with the feral theming. It's got a lot of personality, and I like the aesthetics in both modes. I enjoy Transmetal 2's asymmetrical fusion of organic and technological, and frankly, I don't think it gets enough love compared to the original Beast Wars toys and the original Transmetals. It produced some visually interesting toys due to its very nature. Maybe one day I'll go back for a complete Transmetal 2 lineup, or at least one of each mold. In terms of individual molds, I actually have more than I thought. Cheetor may be a simple toy, but it gets the job done and really appeals to me. It's also one of the last Cheetor toys I have to acquire in terms of unique molds, but it's the most appealing. For number 2, we have the sole Japanese exclusive toy on this list, and it's one I've wanted for some 20 years, but as I've never seen it in person, I've never gone after it. Then Hasbro released an update in Legacy, and it's one of the greatest disappointments in recent memory, though there are definitely worse toys in Legacy. My number 2 is Beast Wars 2 Lio Convoy. Lio Convoy is a really cool design, in a line where so many toys are some variant of it just stands up, and the robot mode is symmetrical. Lio Convoy at least does something interesting, where the lion's head and rear make up the shoulders of the robot mode. Hasbro Beast Wars doesn't really even have a lion outside of Prowl, which is part of a combiner, so that makes Lio Convoy stand out too. Then you have the yellow eyes like G1 toy Optimus Prime, something I've always liked, and all the action features. I still say Beast Wars Optimus Primal is one of the greatest Transformers toys of all time, and Lio Convoy is another action feature packed toy that looks great in both modes. It just sparks my interest from start to finish. Before anyone mentions 40th selection Lio Convoy, which is nice given the cost, I can't imagine the original would be that much more, and I think I'd appreciate the original more in the long run. My number 1 choice is a lot like my number 2. It's a toy I discovered in the early 2000s. It's a convoy. It's Japanese, and no remake has really scratched the itch. It's G2 Battle Convoy, the Japanese re-release of Laser Optimus Prime from 2006. once considered the greatest Transformers toy of all time. I still think it holds up really well. Striking toy, absolutely phenomenal redesign of Optimus Prime that I do think surpasses the original Convoy toy. Filled to the brim with action features, many of which make the trailer actually worthwhile in the Transformers context. Simple transformation all things considered, but the end result has all the articulation I'd consider essential. I can't name anything it does as something I'd consider that needs to be addressed. But why this release specifically? Nostalgia, but not for the toy itself. While I never saw the G2 toy back in the day, or if I did I can't remember it, the G2 insignias used on this release just do it for me. It takes me back, and they were the first insignias for the two factions I knew. The only other release of this toy to use the G2 insignias is the E-Hobby Laser Ultra Magnus, also released in 2006. But that toy's deco is a little off-putting, and it's missing the electronics. Carl Robot's Black Convoy is also very tempting, but I think I'd miss the electronics, even if I might only use them once and take the batteries out. Battle Convoy just works better for me, and that's why it's my number one. So there you have it, the 10 Transformers I hope I managed to get this year. Lots of old stuff to fill out the collection, minimal Age of the Primes toys, but the heart wants what the heart wants. What Transformers are you looking for this year? As my tastes are so different to the norm, I bet a lot of you are hyped up for whatever the new Generations and Masterpiece toys are. But tell me in the comments. It's all Transformers, and all that matters is that we enjoy our collections. If you enjoyed today's video and want more Transformers content, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm pretty sure the channel is a Transformers channel now. Till next time friends, this has been Eric from Toys Down Under, and thanks for watching.